where do we go after years of headlines about missiles and misery? Tonight, we're talking about something very different. 5 big, trending stories that are actually about stitching things back together instead of tearing them apart. I'm Turbo Torpedo, and this is Torpedo News, where news travels faster than light. Let's start with the Russia-Ukraine front, but from a peace and diplomacy angle. Western and Ukrainian leaders are rallying around a proposed framework that ties a monitored ceasefire to 3 big pieces: long-term security guarantees, massive reconstruction funding, and a system to make Russia pay compensation for the damage it caused. The idea is to freeze the fighting under strict international monitoring, lock in Ukraine's sovereignty and Euro-Atlantic future, and make any future aggression a very expensive mistake. At the center of this is a concept some are calling a multinational force for Ukraine, not as an occupying army, but as a long-term backbone of training, equipment, and rapid support if Ukraine is attacked again. Negotiators are trying to turn this into a formal agreement that meshes with EU and NATO rules, and that balances deterrence with real de-escalation tools and clear ceasefire oversight. One misstep, and you've got brinkmanship. Done right, you get a durable cold peace that frees people to rebuild their lives. Which brings us to the money. In parallel, European and US leaders are designing a long-term economic reconstruction package for Ukraine. Think less emergency aid, more Marshall Plan. We're talking big resources to rebuild homes, rails, ports, and power grids, plus trade deals and investment that tie directly into Ukraine's EU accession path. The goal isn't just to put bricks back where bombs fell, it's to build a more modern, shock-resistant economy that anchors Ukraine firmly inside a prosperous European market. Personally, this is the kind of technocratic, not very sexy work that I actually love, because if it succeeds, you'll barely see it in headlines, but you'll see it in people's paychecks. Another key piece is how to make the security guarantees credible. The emerging architecture would help Ukraine maintain a sizable peacetime army, backed by long-term commitments from multiple countries to provide equipment, training, and fast assistance. At the same time, planners are sketching out hotlines, joint monitoring missions, and agreed mechanisms to defuse incidents before they spiral. It's an attempt to create a kind of security bubble around Ukraine that deters attacks without sliding into permanent crisis mode. Overlaying all of this is a big precedent-setting move in international law, linking peace to accountability and war damage compensation. European governments are working on legal tools to repurpose frozen Russian sovereign assets as a foundation for reparations. The principle is simple but powerful. You can't redraw borders by force, and if you try, you'll pay literally for rebuilding what you destroyed. Any final deal is expected to respect Ukraine's right to consult its own population on territorial and justice questions, so accountability isn't just written by outside powers. Meanwhile, another constructive story is trending inside the European Union. The Czech Republic has a new coalition government, led by billionaire Andrej Babiš. This marks a significant power shift, and is being watched closely as a test of how populist or business-driven leadership shapes governance in Europe. Early cabinet picks and policy hints are under the microscope for clues about Prague's future stance toward Brussels, fiscal rules, and democratic institutions. For the EU, this isn't just about one country's politics. It's about how a key member state will vote on sanctions, enlargement, and economic reforms at a time when Europe is trying to balance security, growth, and rule of law standards. Together, these stories form a bigger pattern. Instead of just reacting to crises, governments are trying to redesign systems, security, economics, and law to make the next crisis less likely and less devastating if it comes. Thanks for watching Torpedo News. If you want more fast, focused breakdowns of complex stories like these, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss the next episode. I'm Turbo Torpedo. Subscribe to Torpedo News, and I'll see you in the next briefing.